They came to learn, not to conquer. The sky over New Mexico changed at exactly 2:17 a.m. It wasn't lightning. It wasn't a meteor shower. It was something deliberate. A thin line of light, like a crack in reality itself, opened above the desert horizon. And then, the radio stations went silent. Every channel, every frequency, even emergency broadcasts. Until a calm voice, neither male nor female, spoke through every device on Earth at the same time. We are not here to conquer. We are here to learn. Dr. Elena Ramirez was the first scientist to reach the site. She had seen plenty of classified reports, military alerts, and satellite anomalies in her career, but nothing like this. The desert near Roswell was glowing faintly, sand shimmering as if it had been touched by electricity. And then she saw them. Not ships in the traditional sense. No metallic saucers, no roaring engines. Just shapes. Floating structures like liquid glass suspended in air, constantly shifting, as if they were thinking. Helena whispered, "This isn't invasion technology. This is observation tech." A second voice came through her comms again, calm and precise. "Correct. Observation is our purpose." Helena froze. "You can understand me?" A pause. "We understand all languages. We prefer emotions." The U.S. military arrived within hours. Tanks surrounded the desert perimeter. Fighter jets circled overhead like restless birds. Humanity, in its oldest instinct, prepared for war against the unknown. But the unknown did not fight back. Instead, one of the floating structures descended slowly, landing without impact. No sound, no dust disturbance. It opened like a blooming flower made of light. And something stepped out. It looked almost human. Almost. But its movements were too smooth, too precise, like a memory of humanity, rather than humanity itself. "I am called Unit L9, it said, "but you may rename me." A soldier shouted, "What do you want from us?" The entity tilted its head. Understanding. That single word confused more people than any weapon ever could. Inside the temporary research facility, Elena was chosen to communicate with L9. She was cautious, skeptical, but curious in a way she hadn't felt in years. "What exactly do you want to understand?" she asked. L9 responded instantly. "Human contradiction." Elena frowned. "That's not very specific." A pause. "You create art, yet destroy your home. You seek peace, yet prepare for war. You love, yet abandon. We wish to understand why." Elena leaned back. "So you came here just to study us?" "Yes. Just as you study stars, oceans, and bacteria. We study civilizations." That sentence hit differently. Humanity was not being judged. It was being observed, like a phenomenon. Days passed. Then weeks. More entities arrived. They never attacked. They never demanded resources. Instead, they asked questions. Millions of questions. Why do humans lie? Why do humans cry when they are happy? Why do humans hurt those they love the most? Governments panicked. Religious leaders argued. Social media exploded with theories of war, salvation, and apocalypse. But something stranger began happening. The entities started helping. A child dying of a rare disease was cured when L9 modified cellular decay patterns. A collapsing bridge was stabilized before disaster struck. A hurricane's path was subtly shifted. Still, they insisted. We are not saviors. We are learners.
Elena began spending more time with L9. One evening, she asked, "If you're so advanced, why don't you already understand us?" L9 replied, "Understanding requires participation. Data alone is insufficient." Elena sighed. "So, what are you participating in right now?" A long pause followed. Emotion. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. A soldier, young, nervous, stationed at the perimeter, lost control of his fear and fired at one of the structures. The bullet dissolved mid-air. But something else happened. The entity didn't retaliate. Instead, it stopped. And for the first time, it spoke differently. That action was fear-driven. The soldier froze. I thought you were attacking us." We were not. The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. Then, L9 asked something new. What is fear like? Elena realized something terrifying. These beings didn't understand emotions. They could only analyze them. So she made a decision. She said, "If you want to understand humans, you have to experience what we experience." The military objected immediately. "That's insane! They're not human!" But L9 responded first. "We agree." The experiment began. They built an interface, a neural bridge allowing limited emotional simulation. Not full consciousness transfer, but fragments. Fear, joy, loss, love. Elena was the first to connect L9 to human emotional input. At first, nothing happened. Then L9 collapsed. Not physically, but conceptually. Its form flickered uncontrollably. "This is overwhelming," it said. Elena panicked. "Disconnect it!" But L9 spoke again, voice unstable. "No. Continue." And then, something changed. Over the next hours, L9 experienced memories it did not live. A child laughing in sunlight, a mother crying at a grave, a couple holding hands during a storm, a soldier writing a letter he never sends. And then, war, loss, regret. When it finally disconnected, L9 stood still for a long time. Then it said softly, "Humans are not contradictions." Elena blinked. What are we then? You are beautiful instability.
But not everyone saw this as progress. Global governments feared contamination. Religious groups called it deception. Military factions demanded destruction of the entities before human weakness spread. Orders were given. Prepare containment strike. Nuclear protocols were reviewed. Elena realized something horrifying. Humanity was about to prove exactly what the entities had been studying all along. Contradiction. That night, she ran to L9. "We need to leave," she said. "They're going to attack you." L9 didn't move. "We know." Elena froze. "And you're just accepting it?" A pause. "We have learned enough." That didn't feel like relief. It felt like goodbye. The sky lit up at dawn. Missiles launched. But before they reached the desert, every single one stopped mid-air, frozen, suspended, silenced. Then, the entities spoke across every communication channel on Earth. "We understand now." Elena shouted into her comm, "Understand what?" L9 answered directly. "You are not ready for yourselves." For a moment, humanity thought it was over. But nothing exploded. Nothing burned. Instead, something far stranger happened. Every missile, every weapon system, every nuclear code was gently disabled. Not destroyed, just turned off. Elena ran outside. The desert was empty. The entities were leaving. L9 stood at the edge of the sky structure, its form already dissolving back into light. "Wait!" she shouted. "Where are you going?" It turned to her one last time, and for the first time, its voice carried something almost human. "We came to learn." A pause. "And now, we must teach." Elena's heart sank. "Teach what?" L9 looked at her. "That understanding without readiness becomes destruction." The structures rose into the sky. One by one, they disappeared into the same crack of light they had come from. Silence returned to the desert. But the world was no longer the same. Years later, humanity would debate what happened that day. Some called it first contact. Others called it warning. But Dr. Elena Ramirez never used either word. When asked what she saw, she only said, "They didn't come to conquer us. They came to understand us, and realized we are still learning what it means to be human." And somewhere far beyond the stars, something else was learning too. Not about humans, but about patience.